It's Timmy here with Fashion Girls for Humanity, and today we're going to be making a face mask with a pocket. So we're going to get started by taking our pattern piece here, and we're going to cut our main fabric and our lining fabric. We're going to cut two layers of each, so it'll be 4 pieces. So I'm making mine out of scraps at the moment, so I'm going to fold these in half. I'm also going to fold another piece in half, place that on top of each other, place the pattern on top, and then I'm going to trace the pattern. So this is my main fabric. I'm going to, sometimes I like to pin all the pieces together so they don't move around. Then I'm going to cut out my main fabric. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my lining fabric. Place it. I'm going to mark. Okay. Put a pin in the middle. And now we have all of our pieces to sew. So there's our 2 lining pieces, and then our 2 sets of main fabric. So now we're getting ready to sew our initial seams. What I've done here is taken 2 pieces of our lining fabric and pin them together right sides to right sides. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance at the center front edge. And I'm going to do that with that piece. I've already done it with one of the main fabrics, and I'm also going to do it with the other main fabric piece. And the second lining piece. We've sewn the first center front seams of our mask. What we're going to do is do a little top stitch at the center front edge. So I'm going to unfold my mask. So we have the right side here. I'm going to do that to all 4 pieces that I have. And then what I want to do is we have that center front seam, and we want to make sure that it stays down and stays flat. So what we're going to do is push one side of the seam allowance to the side, and then on the correct side we're going to sew like a tiny top stitch right near the seam so that it keeps that seam allowance staying flat when you're wearing your mask. So I'm going to do that to both sets of the main fabric and also the lining fabric. Now we have our pieces sewn together. I have 2 pieces of the main fabric, and I also have 2 of the lining fabric. We're making a double layer mask so that it's, more protective. So what I'm going to do is layer my 2 pieces of lining, layer my 2 pieces of mane, and now we're going to make the little pocket edge. So I'm meeting the 2 pieces together, and I'm going to fold in 1/4 inch like this and pin. I'm going to do the same thing with the lining. But when you're doing this pinning, I like to make sure that, the clean edge of the mask is on this side, and you also have the clean edge of the mask here, and you're folding, making sure that you're folding that little pocket edge in towards the wrong side, because we want to hide that. Pin it, and then we're just going to do a top stitch along both edges. So now that we have our pocket edges sewn, we are now going to sew the main layer to the lining. So the way that you should do this is take your pocket edges. So here are my 2 pocket edges. I'm going to flip them so that the wrong side of the fabric on both is facing out. And then I'm going to pin the top and bottom edges together. Starting with the top. Okay. And just make sure those pocket edges kiss perfectly. Here's the top, and now we're going to do the bottom. And just take your time with pinning, because the better you pin, the easier it is to sew. Things won't be moving around. All right. So it's going to look something like this with a bunch of pins along the top and along the bottom. And now we're going to get ready to sew. It's sewing time. So we are going to stitch along the top edge and the bottom edge of the mask. And I'm starting here where the pockets are. And we're just going to do a 1/4 inch straight stitch. So you can keep your pins in as you sew. I'm taking them out as I go because a lot of my pins are bent from using them multiple times. And when your pins are bent, sometimes they can catch the needle in the wrong way and break your needle. So I'm just trying to avoid that. So you'll see me taking my pins out as I sew along the edge. So that's the top. And then we're going to sew the bottom. And now that we've done this, we are ready to start stitching in our elastic and getting ready to try our mask on. We're really close. So now we're going to be cutting and sewing on our elastic bands. So we need 2 pieces of elastic. One piece is going to be 15 inches. And one piece is going to be 10 inches. I'm just using my tape measure to measure that out. Get this cut. All right. So now that we have our elastics, I have our long piece, short piece. The long piece is going to be at the top of your head, and this bottom piece kind of goes more around your neck, under your ears. So we're going to take the elastic I'm going to start with the long, and I have my mask here. So remember we have our pocket edge here. That's going to stay open. This is where we're first going to sew in the elastic on the other side. So I'm going to funnel the elastic through, the way through. It'll take you a second to grab it from the other side. And see, now it's coming out of this edge over here. So I'm actually gonna line it up perfectly to the edge and get it as close to that top seam as I can. And then I'm gonna pin it in. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with the bottom elastic. Just gonna find it in there. Again, meet it with that edge, get as close to that bottom seam as possible, and pin it. And now we're going to go to our sewing machine and pin a straight seam here, and that's gonna lock in that elastic. I would honestly maybe go over it twice just to like make sure it's super secure. And then we will finish up the mask. So our elastic is sewn on that one side. So now we're gonna, using our elastic, it's actually really easy. We're gonna pull and turn our mask right side out. And I just like to pull those edges, pull that elastic, kind of helps get your seams flatter. All right. So now we're almost done. So what we're gonna do, last step, is, so now we have our little mask here. Just give it a little try, right? So we're going to take our elastic, loop it around, make sure it's not twisted when you're looping, and I'm just going to insert it into the other side where the pocket opening is. Insert it a little bit, maybe like a 1/2 inch to 3/4. Again, getting as close to the top edge as possible. I'm gonna pin. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the bottom. Again, just wanna get as close as possible to that bottom seam. And then pin. So now you have something that looks like this. And now we're just going to, again, tack the elastic down, but we're not going to sew along the entire edge. So we're just gonna sew here and here just enough to catch that elastic and leave this opening here so that you can insert a filter. So we've sewn our last side of the elastic in. I'm just gonna clip all my little threads. Get them out of the way here. Clip, clip. All right, and now you have your mask. Nice and comfy, easy. And if you want to, if you find that, you know, your mask is a little loose anywhere, you can always unpick that one part of the elastic where it's sewn in here near the pocket opening, and you can cut it, make it a little bit shorter, and make it more suitable for you, but just make sure you leave enough so that you can be able to get it over your head. Just don't want to make it too small. So that is your pocket mask. Thanks.